I've addressed the lack of comments multiple times in the past, but because I've done a lot of videos since, I thought, you know what, I'll readdress it now because I'm sure it irritates some people and people will come to their own conclusions as to why I decided not to allow comments. I have my own reasons for it. The one thing I do want to start off by saying, though, is I recognize there'll be many people, especially those who are irritated that they can't vent on my platform, that perhaps it shows cowardice, it shows weakness. It's none of those things at all. If you look at me, I use my real name and I put my face to everything. So if that's cowardice, that's ridiculous. You know, because a lot of these people, and this is where I have issues with comments in general, a lot of the time people won't dare share their views on their own platform. So they may have a YouTube channel, it's either dormant, has no content, or the content is completely unrelated to what they're venting on someone else's channel. So my attitude is everybody has free will. Everybody is free to do what they want. So if you feel strongly enough about a topic, whether it's for or against what I talk about, people are free to make their own content, aren't they? So if you feel strongly enough about something, have the balls to talk about it with a camera and put your face to it and actually attach your real name to it. You know, because most people won't do that. So then who's the coward? The one who does do those things? Or the one who just wants to leave a random comment on someone else's channel, like that validates an opinion on some other topic and goes into deep depth? You know, it's just ridiculous. So the way I see it is, and it's, again, people will see things how they want to see it. I'm just explaining how I see it, how I view things. I don't create my content to build a forum. I don't create my content to have back and forth dialogue. Maybe in the future there'll be podcasts and I'm a guest, or so I have some. Maybe it evolves one day to something bigger and there's a platform where you can actually have debate. But I would consider that a debate with someone of intellect, someone of substance, which I would argue, I don't know, I don't want to berate people or put people down, but I don't feel I'm going to get that really through a comment section. So I've got no problem, I wouldn't even call it toe-to-toe, engaging with people who actually have expertise in certain areas. I'm not worried about things like that, you know. So the common person, the average person who's just reactive, I don't really care. Like, just people can have their own opinion. You ain't shitting all over my page. So I see my channel as more of like, and I see content on YouTube as, I think I could of more substance, broader content than you get on social media. So I consider it more of a magazine. Now, when you pick a magazine up off the newsagent, and you read through the magazine, and let's say there's content you like, content you don't like, what do you do with that content? Do you start writing letters to the people who wrote the content, or do you just you form an opinion and then you decide to have conversations in your daily life with people you actually know, or you'll create content of your own, but you'll literally go and live your life, won't you? You continue upon your day. And that's all I expect of other people. It's like I create the content. You can watch it for 1 minute. You can watch it all the way through. It's really up to people what they want to do with it, you know? But the reality is, I reckon, and I really do feel this way because I've seen it far too often, people who comment, for the most part, are reactive. So they'll likely comment within the first minute. First minute of content, they'll either form a positive or negative opinion of it. And they'll react without understanding the rest of it and putting things into context. So what's the point of me having to filter through comments to figure out who's likely to have actually listened all the way through and actually understands the entire depth of the content, and who has just been reactive in the first minute? I can't be asked for that shit. I don't need I don't need to go through that. You know, I create the content, I move on. I create the content, I move on. I'm not someone. Well, I'm talking about me now. I'm not someone who wants to be in the spotlight all the time. I'm not seeking to be an influencer. I'm not seeking to be someone who does live streams. You know, these people don't know how to have privacy in their life. They don't know how to get on with life in general. Everything's in the spotlight. So what happens when they want to take time out to relax? They built their whole life on living in the spotlight every day, where if they take a day off, they can't earn money. So they're just constantly attached to it. I've gone on a huge tangent with that. I'm not interested in that sort of shit, you know? So I think people have the right to create their own content however they choose. And it's up to them the level of engagement they want with that content. Honestly, I don't wait for people's reactions. I just move on. I create the content. Hopefully it creates sort of a conversation with people in their own personal lives. So hopefully it creates a thought process in their own life, whether it's positive or negative, about the society they're part of, even politics, spirituality, personal growth. You know, there's so many aspects to the content I create. Someone might not like my political views. They might not like my views on society, which I would consider deranged if you don't, but EO, because, I always look at everything from a balanced perspective and I weigh it all up. I'm not like a hyperbole person who just follows a trend or follows a lunatic into oblivion, So, yeah, I don't want to go into that. But I do also an awful lot on deep personal growth through the experiences I've had, and even the spiritual experiences I've had. So someone might not like one aspect of what I do, but they maybe, without realizing it, they'll find something that they do actually appreciate. The reality is, you don't have to like every aspect of someone. And again, I don't want to go on a whole tangent with the content I create, because this should be specific to comments. And like I say, I think people, if you really feel that strongly about comments, create content. That's all I say. So I don't see the issue. I think it's people who are cowards who actually want to hide in the comment section. The ones who won't put their face to something, the ones who won't speak on camera, and they won't stand by their convictions. Because I see it far too often. It's not just YouTube. I've seen it on social media. People have barely anything on their channel, on their profile, or it's just rubbish. It's absolute nonsense. There's nothing of value or substance, and yet they're quick to criticize other people. I always think that's just so moronic. But they've got this real high elevated opinion of themselves. And it's just crazy, because it's like they just spew nonsense. But what they'll do, they'll shit all over everybody else's content and thinking it doesn't lead back to their profile. But someone maybe comes across that comment later and then clicks through, and then they see that person for who they are. So you're not as invisible as you think on your platform. It does catch up, but it's less traceable, isn't it? Because someone actually goes on the profile, they won't know you're an arsehole. They won't know this, because it's all very superficial and it's all pretend, isn't it? It's all like, let's wear a mask. You don't get a mask with me. You just get honesty. I'm just authentic. And I put it on there specifically. I've tried to be as balanced as I can with a statement I put on my videos where I say about, I don't allow comments because of this. I could go a lot heavier with that. I'm literally just saying that I think everybody should have the chance to see content and listen fresh. So it shouldn't be influenced by a third party, because that's what happens. Whether for good or bad, comments can influence the direction that someone absorbs content. So I think everybody should have the same chance to see it fresh. Also, what I didn't probably say, and I was tempted to, but I don't want to go negative, is I don't think many people who attach themselves to comment sections have the intellect and the emotional intelligence to deal with the depth of what they're saying and the ramifications for a comment section. In all honesty, I think that usually it's the trolls. I don't need to listen to them. I don't need to listen to trolls. It's not going to change my day. I've got better things to do. So I'm not going to keep back and the reality is, I'm not going to keep back and forward into previous videos to catch up on what someone's saying about something that I said 5 videos ago. And again, people can have their own opinion on it, and they say, "Oh, it's just you're coward or you're taking it easy way." See how people can see how they want. People can see how they want. I just don't give a shit. I've got the balls to create the content, and I just say, as other people got the balls to create theirs. So there it is. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot more I could say, but I don't want to go round in circles, to be totally honest. I've never liked social media. I'm in and out all the time. I think some platforms have more intelligent users, if you like. I mean, it doesn't mean they're just as balanced, though, because you're always going to get an unhinged lunatic. But if you talk about like Twitter, X, I think I'm going to call it Twitter. I hate X, the name X. I'm not on there anymore, but I would argue that the comment section on there was full of more people with a bit more intelligence, a bit more professional. Not always, but I mean, for the most part, if you're gonna pick an area, I'd say that you're gonna get far more intelligent comments through a platform like that, where people actually have to think about what they post most of the time, than something like a TikTok channel or Instagram or YouTube. So it's really, where who do you really want to hear from? That's the thing, isn't it? I've got a few downvotes. I always get downvotes when I talk about Trump. I always laugh and I always think idiots. So I just want people to know that, just because we don't get the back and forth. Every time I see a downvote, if it's about something specific like that, I just think absolute prats. Like, it's probably worst words I could say. But for me, it just shows someone's personality and character. If you're siding with someone like that, I mean, I've got more videos to do on him that I don't want to do because I don't want to keep talking about him, but there's more to come. Absolute moron, that guy. And I just think if you're following that person and you think, I'm in the wrong, it's just time will tell, and you end up having to eat your words. So keep clicking the downvotes if it makes you feel proud. But I mean, look, again, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't do that for anything. I'd never ever press downvote. I think I've only ever done it once. If I'm thinking about it, I've only ever done it once, and it was, I can't remember. I think it was because that was clickbait content. It was something where I think it was to do with a computer related issue that I was dealing with because I'm a gamer. I go maybe deeper than the average person with the hardware and things. And it's just I was watching something. I don't know if it was that or something broke on my telly. I can't remember. But it's anyway something techie related. And I sat there trying to, and I very rarely would I downvote anything. And it was absolute nonsense. It was like, I'm not even helpful at all. And it was just ridiculous that they've set it all up as this fix, and it was not a fix. And I just thought, I can't approve this shit. So that was it. I wouldn't do it if it's someone talking about an opinion on something. And I just think, I know some people treat things different ways, but I just think how much of a dipshit have you got to be that you've got to press downvote on someone's content when you haven't probably watched it to the end? And you could have just turned it off and gone and watched something else in the same way I do. I don't comment on other people's content. And this is the thing. I think that's what it comes down to. People expect what they do. So let's say you comment on a lot of things, then you're obviously going to want to enable comments to put your videos, I guess, because you want engagement. You want to talk on things. I don't. I don't comment on people's videos. Even if it's something I really like, I'll click like on the video, and then I'll move on. And I'll think to myself, oh, I like that. I love that. And hopefully that's it, and then I might subscribe. But I don't comment. I don't bother with all that shit. I'm just not interested. So if I don't comment on other people's content, even if I really like it, why on earth would I enable comment on mine just to sort of talk about stuff that I've already discussed? What's the point of going around in circles? There's no point. I'm not interested in tit for tat shit. I've shared my opinion on something. It's like, I'm not interested in tit for tat. Again, if I was on someone else's podcast, that's where I'll have a conversation. Wouldn't even argue it's a debate, really. It's a conversation. But I think too many people, they just get bent out of shape. They take it personal, and half the time you're not even talking about them anyway. It's just they get so attached to a side. So let's say I'm talking about politics or something. They might feel like really attached to a political party or a figure, and they take it like a personal attack on themselves. That's deranged. That's deranged. People need to have a broader mindset and actually like be ready to evolve and actually listen to facts and things, because that's what they have a hard time with. But anyway, again, what do I want to communicate with delusional people for, So, what people think of me is irrelevant. I just don't give a shit. If I gave a shit, I wouldn't talk about half the things I've got to talk about. And, I've got 3 more books coming out. One's a spiritual book, one's personal growth, and one is my first book on politics and society. It's not supposed to be deeply political, but I mean, we'll see where it ends up with the book, what the chapters I've still got to do, and the ones I've got to edit and things. All these books are already in progress. They just need editing, really. But they all keep adding. I keep adding new stuff to it. I wouldn't be surprised if the politics society one is half politics and half to do with society in general. And the more I see the issues in society, and especially these morons that downvote, it just makes me want to talk about it more. So, I mean, I would argue that they would get really bent out of shape when that gets released, but then I don't think most of them can read. So they're quick to comment, but they don't educate themselves. I know it's like a broad statement to make about people, but honestly, I understand the average person, and I know the ones that go to comments. They're just quick to be reactive. Again, if you've got something to say, if you've got something of substance to say and you can articulate well, you wouldn't rush to a comment section. You'd create your own content. So I just think it's the morons that are commenting most of the time. Maybe there's the odd person who has intelligence and things, but I think it's rare. I think it's few and far between. I've always had a problem with YouTube, even before I joined YouTube. I used to see people's content and maybe people are starting out. Maybe they're doing something else. It's usually gaming. And the amount of vile I'd see in comments, and it's just bullying all the time. And I just looked and thought, who the hell are you? Like doing that to someone when they're trying their best. It's not hurting you. Just how hard is it to have compassion? And it just, for like I say, that always got my back up about comments. And I've seen that through social media time and time again, where there's no accountability. Well, I'll just take the tool away. There's accountability there. I'm holding them people accountable. I'm saying you create your own platforms. You want to talk on a deep conversation, like a topic, create your own platform. Talk about it there. Don't need to talk on mine. It's fine. I don't need to hear it. You can tag me if you want. I don't know if I can get tagged. I don't know how that works. But I've got no problem with that shit. Just create your own shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to go around in circles with this. People can think what they want. They can think, oh, coward, coward, coward. But look at me. I'm freaking front and center. You can see my face. I don't freaking hide it. I use my real name. I've got my books. I do everything front and center. So how the hell is that coward? That jog on.